Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good day to all of you wherever this webinar finds you. Thank you for all your time today. We appreciate it and we look forward to sharing our know-how and our experiences with you about the Saudi environment, the trade mission that will occur in Saudi, and your website and online marketing. So just while the last of you are logging on, a few quick introduction. So I'm Rita Ben Hadda. I'm a senior online marketing manager at IBT Online, and I'm here today with Hisa Al-Asaf, who is a business development manager at the Ministry of Investment at ICT Division, and Saira Narma Al-Qasim, who is a senior legal consultant at Dantons KSA. We have AG Rodriguez. She's a member of the board of directors at the Saudi Tourism Authority. Warren Anderson, senior international trade specialist at the U.S. Commercial Service. And finally, Kerry Lepin, commercial officer at the U.S. Commercial Service, who will be sharing with us an overview of Saudi. So very quickly, IBT Online is a full stack online marketing company, and this means that we design and build websites from distributors' website to fully e-commerce enabled websites. And we do all the online marketing that goes with this, from the lightest touch of organic SEO to full social listening and social selling. We're known for our international scope, so we're online and we're international. And IBT Online has a strategic partnership with the U.S. Commercial Service, and we have been helping America's exporters grow their export, sales, brand, and business online and globally for over 20 years. So just about the agenda, today we're going to touch base on different industries in Saudi. We have tourism, ICT, and infrastructures, as well as give you more information about the online environment of the region and the trade mission. So stick around till the end. We'll be sharing a lot of great information. Please don't forget to drop your questions in the chat. We'll answer them at the end. All right, so well, let's dive in, and I will hand it over to Kerry Lepin.
Thank you, Gita, for that introduction. And good afternoon or good morning to everybody again, wherever you are. Hello from sunny Saudi Arabia. We're very excited to talk to you today about this trade mission, and obviously very excited and hopeful that we'll see all of you here in Saudi Arabia in December. Today you're going to be hearing about the tourism, infrastructure, and technology sectors here in Saudi Arabia, each one of them a booming sector, although I'm not sure I got the correct order right, but no worries there. I know that Saudi Arabia, well, first off, I guess let me introduce myself, Carrie, and the wonderful team that we have here with you on the line today, Sharik, Tariq, and Anwar, who all work with me for the commercial service in Saudi Arabia. If you don't know us already, the commercial service is the Department of Commerce's overseas arm, and our job is to bring all of you to foreign markets and increase your involvement here overseas. So, you know, we will help you to plug in to opportunities here in Saudi Arabia. And you might be thinking, why Saudi Arabia? Because I know that a lot of people might think that they know Saudi Arabia, but I will say, think again. Saudi Arabia is a very dynamic and changing and exciting country. You might have heard about Vision 2030, which is a big economic diversification initiative that's happening here in the kingdom right now. And all of these sectors, sectors that we never really thought of before in Saudi Arabia, are rapidly developing. So from you know, big tourism developments across the country, along the Red Sea and in the desert, to all of the infrastructure projects that enable those developments and these new massive cities that are being built, obviously to all of the technology and smart cities and, you know, data centers and across the board. There's so much happening. So I will not take up too much of your time, and I will turn it back over to our presenters for them to give you an expert deep dive into these exciting sectors.
Thank you, Kerry. Now we will dive into the tourism with AG Rodriguez. AG, over to you. Oh, sorry, just before that, we just... gonna go ahead and do a quick poll, just to get to know you a little bit. So are you already doing business internationally? It would be interesting for the people at the US Commercial Service as well as others to know the audience a little bit, and then I'll hand it over to you, AG. Sorry, just 1 second.
No worries.
Perfect. There's a lot of engagement. There you go. Thank you. AG, over to you.
Okay, thank you so much. Hello, everybody. It is truly my pleasure to be here with all of you today. Wherever you're coming to us from, I hope you're having a fabulous day. I thought I would begin with my intro and the title of An American Businesswoman in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, because I get asked this question all the time. And those of you on may be wondering, what is an American woman doing business in Saudi Arabia? And in my case, for the past 7 years. So if we can go to the next slide, I want to begin, as Carrie alluded to, with a little bit of a discussion about Vision 2030. Now, I think we have about 170 plus participants coming from throughout the US and a myriad of different business sectors. So I thought I would begin with the benchmark, presuming you may not be cognizant of Business 2030. But before I get to that, about 7 years ago, the Public Investment Fund approached me, as they do, to be a special advisor for a project they were contemplating. And today, I believe the Public Investment Fund owns over about 220 different global companies. So the Sovereign Wealth Fund is a very robust fund. They have a lot of money to invest. And about 7 years ago, they implemented a plan they called Vision 2030. It's hard to believe we're just 5.5 years away from that plan coming to, I guess, the embryonic, for lack of a better term, stages, because I think it's an ongoing plan. If you're not familiar with Saudi Arabia, it's a population of about 35 million people, 70% of whom are 30 years or younger. So what Vision 2030 entailed is not only opening the country to a myriad of things, including global travelers from many different countries in the world, but also setting up the infrastructure to really empower, particularly their young people, the next generation, to get educated and to have all of these fabulous opportunities. So they are building for their future on many, many different levels. And Vision 2030 is a multi-trillion-dollar investment in all of that plan. So what I would encourage anybody on this call to do, if you are not familiar with it, please Google it, go to their website and learn more about it, because it stretches through many tentacles, not only obviously probably the greatest PR version, tourism, but it's all sectors. Saudi Arabia is open to do business. They are easy to do business. And why I say an American woman in Saudi Arabia, because even now, 7 years after going there on business, and they started by opening up with e-visas. One of the things that they learned very quickly is they have to be also tourism friendly. So you can get an e-visa online from over 50 countries around the world, and the US included, to make it very easy to go there to visit. And I encourage you, if you have not gone, that you should. And there are a lot of misnomers and misperceptions about what it's like to go there. And I'm often asked, oh, aren't you afraid to go there as an American woman? And I say to people, no, au contraire, absolutely the opposite. I am a world traveler. I've been to over 120 countries. I'm a New York girl living in Miami and doing business in Saudi. But I have to tell you, I feel safer going to Saudi all by myself than I do anywhere else in the world. So I'm very bullish on everything they're doing there. And when you get asked these sort of silly questions about a woman going there, I want to personally endorse that it is very safe and they treat women amazingly well. And I have a lot of friends there through the 7 years of going there, both male and female. So I want to encourage you to please go on this trip in December and check it out for yourself, because seeing is believing, and there's nothing like seeing with your own eyes. So 7 years I've been going there, and it's been wonderful. And Vision 2030 is really a story about transformation. It is a multi-million dollar investment. And as I am an American girl, I say they put their money where their mouth is. This wasn't just speak. When I first started going there, women weren't allowed to drive. Now they're allowed to drive. Women could only dress in abayas, more or less. Now women can dress just like we dress in the US and feel completely comfortable going anywhere dressed like that. And the other thing is, I'll give you an example how bullish they seem to be on women and educating women and putting them in fabulous places. The Saudi ambassador to the U.S. is Princess Rama. The Assistant Deputy Minister of Tourism is Princess Haifa. And not only royalty. In fact, our board secretary at the Saudi Tourism Authority was one of the first female lawyers to finish law school from Saudi in Saudi. So they really are developing their people. And what I will say as an American, one of the things that I truly love about going there is the fact that I love talking to young people. My mother, God rest her soul, used to say, if you want to stay young, stay around young people. I'm the mom of a 34-year-old, so I get that millennial piece of it. But I love talking to the young Saudis. And when I tell you, nowhere else in the world are that generation, meaning 30 years and younger, so happy and so excited about their own future and their country's own future. So it is a fabulous place. And in the last 7 years, I have seen growth and development like I've never seen anywhere else in the world, even through COVID, even through a global supply chain. It is quite amazing what they do and how they do it there. So if we go to the next slide, I say it's a labyrinth of opportunities for women-led business, but really for any business across varying sectors. And they make it easy to do business with. So I've just highlighted three different sort of ministries: the Ministry of Investment, the Ministry of Culture, and the Ministry of Tourism. And within each of these various ministries, they have set up the infrastructure to really make it very easy. So as an example, if you want to do business there and you have a Saudi partner, they will even, the Tourism Development Fund will even invest. If you present a feasibility study and they like your business plan, they will invest up to 75%. They will find you the right partners if you can't find them yourself. And the list goes on and on. So I think that they have set up the right infrastructure. And if we go to the next slide, when I say that the KSA is easy to do business with, these are just some examples of what I mean by that. They've set up e-visas. They've set up golden passports. So in fact, if you are going there, you can, be sort of visa free and get vetted and have sort of a golden passport structure to come and go very easily. They've set up licensing structures, so everything is very well organized. And as I said, they have investment partnership opportunities that are quite deep. And you can, depending on your sector, depending on what you're endeavoring to do there, find the right partners. They really empower you as an American business or any business, and a woman-owned business especially, to come and do business there. And of course, as I alluded to, the Tourism Development Fund. And these are just a few. I'm just trying to highlight it. I only have 12 minutes. I could talk for hours on this because I'm so bullish on it. But let's go to the next slide. So let's say you are interested in the tourism sector. When you read about Vision 2030, there are so many tentacles of this. I would need hours again. But I'm just naming a few. So like Dureya. Dureya is their historical center just on the outskirts of Riyadh. And what Jerry and Cirillo and his team there have done in developing Dureya in the last 7 years is mind-boggling. It is absolutely amazing. And it's really about the history of Saudi Arabia. So, but lots of businesses happening within Dureya. And then when we talk about Neom, Neom is a geographic area that is the size of the country of Belgium and has mainly 5 sectors within Neom, let's say, one of which is the Octagon. The Octagon is really the infrastructure to have Neom function. So depending on what kind of business you're in, energy, etc., there are facets of these development projects, specifically these tourism development projects, that will help you. um, Aula. Aula is in the middle of the desert, and they've created an amazing tourism destination with luxury hotels, experiences in the desert. The line is going to be a vertical city in the middle of the desert that is like very Mad Max movie space age. Incredible. But again, all of the infrastructure in delivering these provides so many different companies to come in and do business. If we look at Trojena, did you ever think that you could go to Saudi Arabia and go to a ski resort, much like we can in Aspen here in America? You can. So Trojena is going to be a ski resort. And I don't mean just any ski resort. This will be space age. Like if you're a skier or not, you're going to want to go there. If we talk about Qiddiya City is on the outskirts of Riyadh, and this is going to be a really new development for families to build homes and amusement parks because Saudi is very family friendly. They believe in multi-generation, respecting the elderly, empowering the youth, and Qiddiya is a great kind of amusement park endeavor. The Jeddah waterfront, if you travel to Miami Beach or to the Côte d'Azur on the French Riviera, get ready. Jeddah waterfront is going to be like nothing like the world has ever seen. Lots of opportunities there. Cruise lines. In fact, this mission is in December, and the first Saudi branded cruise line, Arroyo Cruises, is going to launch in December. So, depending on the timing of this, there might be an opportunity for these visitors to also do a cruise. And they've also set up the country to welcome cruise lines. So, brands from all over the world who are now creating beautiful Red Sea itineraries can stop in Jeddah and other points along the magnificent Red Sea of Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia, by the way, to my knowledge, is the largest country in the GCC region. They have a lot of coasts, they have every water sports imaginable, and they just continue to grow and develop. Many hotels at every price point, from budget hostels right up to ultra luxury. Tour operators putting land tours together in conjunction, perhaps with the cruise lines and the hotels or not. Destination marketing companies. They are setting up the infrastructure for every facet of tourism. So again, depending on what your business is, you might want to get involved with all of these opportunities. Hospitality training schools. They recognize that they want to train their youth. They're bringing in some of the finest schools around the world, as well as sending some of their young people to schools around the world. Another opportunity. And many more. Again, I only have 12 minutes. This is why I am just trying to highlight. But I am happy to go to the next slide and open it up for questions and answers, or at the end, entertain any questions anybody may have. And on the next slide after that, I will say shukran, which is thank you in Arabic, and my contact information. So again, I'm just very bullish on everything going out there on there. Please feel free to reach out to me, and I am happy to help you through either my contacts or just personally with making sure you empower yourselves with the opportunities in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Shukran and thank you. Over to you.
Thank you, AG. Thank you so much. Great presentation about the environment and the culture in Saudi, as well as the tourism industry. Now we'll dive into the ICT industry with Hisal Asaf. Hisal, over to you.
Hello, everybody. This is Hissa Al Saf. I'm a business development manager in the Ministry of Investment. Thank you for having me. Pleasure to be here with you today. I am in the investment development deputyship, where we have 22 sectors, where it covers 22 sectors in the kingdom, talking education, healthcare, tourism, culture, entertainment. We have all the designated sectors and teams. They work with the investors hand in hand in developing and showing them the opportunities and the strategic opportunities in the kingdom. Today I will present to you the key aspects of why it is an attractive proposition to invest in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. But I think I won't be able to market Saudi as much as Eddie did. I think she did a better job than I will. Please, if you could go to the next slide. So the kingdom's ICT sector is highly attractive to three main reasons. The first reason is the kingdom is a global and regional economic powerhouse, being the largest and one of the fastest growing in the region. The second reason is the ICT sector is growing rapidly, presenting highly attractive investment opportunities. And the third reason is the kingdom has the world-class ecosystem, providing investors with extensive support as well as incentives throughout their investment journey. Second slide, please. The significant progress has already been made across the various Vision 2030 targets, positioning the kingdom as a regional leader and a key player in the global arena. Can you go to the next slide, please? The ICT sector broadly has two main sub-components. Apologies. So if you could see on this slide, the target for unemployment rate back in 2016 was 11%, and the target for 2030 was 7%. In 2023, we reached 4.9. If you see the far left, the far right, I mean, the SME contribution to GDP in 2016 was 20%, and the target for 2030 was 35%, and in 2023 we reached 30%. The women in workforce, the percentage was in 2016, 22% of the women was in the workforce, and the target was 30, and now we reached 36%. Can you please go to the next slide? Yes. So the ICT sector broadly has two main sub-components. The first one is the digital infrastructure, where it's related to connectivity as well as the technology, which includes traditional and existing emerging technologies such as big data and AI. The ICT sector is a key term of unlocking the true value of the digital economy with various use cases across multiple sectors such as healthcare, education, logistics, and many more. Next slide, please. The kingdom has a strong focus on terms of investing in creating right enabling ecosystem for the ICT sector. From connectivity infrastructure, the kingdom has reached internet penetration rates 99%, as well, having one of the fastest 5G speed in the world. In addition, there is a thriving economy ecosystem, being the first in MENA region in terms of ICT market, growing as the second among G20 nationals in terms of ICT development. Finally, the local digital content engaging in accelerating with emerging of existing sectors such as gaming and digital videos. Next slide, please. The kingdom ICT valued approximately 44 billion in 2030, and it's expected to reach over 70 billion in 2030. The growth is mainly driven by technology subsector, which is expected to be more than 60% of all overall ICT sector in 2030. Next slide, please. Moreover, the kingdom has the right enablers of fundamental for growth in coming years. There are 5 key factors that will lead the kingdom to reach and its ambitious targets in 2030. First, the kingdom's strategic location is a major advantage for the ICT investment, particularly in the digital infrastructure and connectivity domains. Second, there is a high demand of digital products and services through the large and young tech-savvy population. Third, the government is investing heavily in digital technologies such as big data and AI are growing rapidly with increased adoption and usage across the kingdom. And finally, the kingdom has a strong, reliable digital infrastructure, for example, leading 5G technology, setting the right foundation for the sector growth. Next slide, please. With this in mind, the Kingdom has already set a very ambitious target to become a global ICT hub within the ICT ecosystem by 2030. To create an ecosystem with at least 300 AI and data startups, develop an attractive over 2,000 data and AI experts, specialists within the Kingdom. Can you go to the next slide, please? There are various pillars within the Kingdom, enabling the infrastructure that will help to future-proof of the ICT sector in the Kingdom. Theirs include various financial and non-financial support mechanisms, such as incentive, funding program, talent development, and as Edie mentioned, we have lots of academies that are opening in the Kingdom, whether it's under the Ministry of Communication and Information, or whether it is under the other ecosystem. This is enabling the infrastructure, the facilities, many national programs, strategies such as ICT strategy by MCIT, the Ignite, which focuses on digital content sector. Next slide, please. There are around 50 attractive and existing investment opportunity in the local sector, in the ICT sector, that have been identified. You can go to investsaudi.com. You can go and explore. We have 48 or 49 investment opportunities. Those opportunities were developed by the stakeholders, where we meet every month to develop opportunities with the support of the PIF, with the support of the digital government authority, with the support of MCIT, which is the Ministry of Communication and Information, where we sit together, develop an opportunity, and you can log into the website, you can download the card, you can have the investment size there, the IRR, the value proposition, the cost of doing business, and also you can have the main stakeholders where you need to contact, or you have a meeting with, whether it's a regulator or an enabler, or you, if you need more support within MISA, we can connect you with local companies. Can you go please to the next slide? There are various incentives that are already available in the Kingdom that investors can access, ranging from a long-term tax exemption to other tax reduction and credits, incentives for skill development and training programs. Can you go to the next slide, please? MISA is there to support investors of all types right from the start. So we have the investor services. We have a customer service or investor service line where they work 24 hours. They speak 6 languages. We have multiple offices in the US. We have 2 in the US. We have a couple in Europe, a couple in Asia, where we work closely. They work in the Saudi embassies. Can you go please to the next slide? So once the company has established, MISA also provides additional services to ensure that the investor is able to scale and thrive in the Kingdom. There include workshops, dedicated relation centers, investment consultation. The next slide, please. So if you could capture this slide, there is various contact channels where you can just log in and explore, whether it's the Twitter account or the LinkedIn account, where you can see the announcement the ministry has. If you need to contact the investor services, obviously you can log into Invest Saudi and just shoot an email, and they will direct the email straight to the main or the designated sector. Thank you so much. I hope I didn't take more than 12 minutes. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Isa. Very interesting information about the ICT industry in Saudi. Definitely experiencing remarkable growth, which leads to a lot of opportunities in this market. I can see some hands are up. Please drop your questions in the chat and we'll answer them during the Q&A session at the end of the webinar. Thank you. Now I'll hand it over to Saira that will provide us with great insights about the infrastructure sector in KSA.
Thank you so much, Geeta. Welcome on behalf of Dentons in Saudi Arabia. I'll be talking, as Geeta has said, about infrastructure and a little bit more about investment in Saudi. Although you've heard fantastic things about sort of tourism and ICT sector, I'll be talking a little bit more about how that works and operates in Saudi in terms of facts and figures, and also how to actually invest in terms of the legal process. So moving to the next slide, I'll start off by telling you a little bit about and setting the scene for Dentons in Saudi Arabia, what we're doing here in terms of infrastructure. So on the next slide, you will see, if you know Dentons already, fantastic. If you don't, a lot of you will do. We are the largest law firm in the world, in 80 countries and 160 locations. And actually, what's fantastic about today and all of you here is that actually a lot of those locations are in the US as well. So it's fantastic to have that synergy between us and yourself. In terms of us and our experience in the Middle East, on the next slide, you will see that we have been in the Middle East for over 50 years. One of the most prominent law firms out here, working on not only infrastructure, but energy projects, banking and finance, corporate commercial, and you can see all the locations that we are there in. But specifically today is about Saudi. And Saudi, I can only agree with what Edie and Hissa have said before on the next slide, where Saudi is really the place to invest in the whole of the world going forward. On the next slide, you'll see a little bit about Dentons in Saudi Arabia. We've been here for 16 years, so one of the oldest law firms out here. In terms of myself and how we're set up in Saudi, 15 years qualified in terms of being a lawyer, working across corporate, commercial, and employment with specifically an investment focus and investment in infrastructure. Also head up the knowledge management for Saudi and thought leadership. We in Saudi are across two main locations, which you'll hear a lot about coming up in this presentation, in Riyadh and in Jeddah. And in terms of the law firm, has a combination of Saudi and lawyers from different jurisdictions. On the next slide, you'll hear and see a little bit more about infrastructure in Saudi. So our experience in Saudi is across all the giga projects you'll be hearing about, whether it's from the legal advice perspective, the planning perspective, the contract negotiation perspective, or just generally from the thought leadership perspective. This is underpinned by, on the next slide, you'll see our experience to do with corporate and commercial. If you can move to the next slide. Perfect. So a lot of the experience that you'll see on here is all corporate commercial projects. And the importance of showing you this is not actually to explain to you about Dentons, but show you some of the projects that are going on, that are linked to and are close to some of the giga projects and some of the infrastructure going on, to show you that actually there's infrastructure across Saudi Arabia in all different sectors. And it's really, really the place to invest going forward as part of the Vision 2030. On the next slide, you'll see further examples of companies that have invested here in Saudi that we've worked with, that you may have worked with as well. Going on to the giga projects in Saudi on the next slide. Giga projects in Saudi are something that you'll hear a lot about and have heard a lot about today. Moving to the next slide, we'll explain a little bit about what giga projects are. So giga projects are a system of projects or a series of projects where the Saudi government have injected capital in a range of different areas that you've heard about, so tourism, residential, commercial, retail. And what these projects really are aiming to do is to invigorate and diversify the economy. And actually, they have done a lot already and are hoping to continue to do the same. They're some of the most successful projects in our global experience we've seen across the world. Aligned with Vision 2030, which you've heard about before, these projects are really there to promote social and cultural diversity and are really spearheaded by the government. You might think, giga project, unusual word, what does it actually mean? And actually it's a very unique word to Saudi. Giga project is a word that doesn't necessarily have a definition in other jurisdictions or other countries, and it's specific to large projects with a large amount of capital that are in Saudi. Some of them you've heard about already, NEOM, Qidiyya, Roshan, Diriyya Gate, and Red Sea Global. These are the ones that carry the sort of official title of being Giga Project. There's also many other projects that we'll be talking about today, which come under mega projects. They're all together termed as Giga Projects, but they can be separated into very, very large projects and also similarly large projects is probably the main difference between the two. If we go to the next slide, in terms of the background of these projects and how they came about, which is really important to you coming to Saudi Arabia in terms of investors in the kingdom, they are financed by the Sovereign Wealth Fund, Public Investment Fund, and also funded by different government entities. Some of these are funded by different PIF companies, some of them are through private investors, and some of them have been slated for privatization or going for IPO. So they've gone through the whole project life cycle. They're not projects or companies that are in their inception if they've gone all the way to the IPO stage, which really shows how independent they've become, how much they've expanded, and how much actually the kingdom is going forward in terms of global progress. All of these giga projects are progressing as fast as humanly possible, I would say. You see, one day you'll go past a certain place and there's nothing there. A couple of days later, you'll go past and you'll see that there's actually a building there that wasn't there before, and that's actually a real life on the ground Saudi experience. But most of these projects are expected to complete in the next couple of years prior to 2030, with a lot of the expansion in 2025 and 2026. So let's go to the next slide. And we'll have a look at what are the names of these giga projects that you've heard a little bit about already, and what are the specific projects. So really 14 projects in total that you can come and see, that you can come and hear about if you're coming to the kingdom. Edie very eloquently has talked about a lot of these, as has Hissa, but if I touch on, for example, Roshan is to elevate home ownership to 70% by 2030. It is aiming to, for example, build 400,000 homes, 850 mosques, 2,400 schools, with already 27,000 homes under construction. Another brilliant example, which Evie touched on before, Diriyya. Diriyya has an investment of 63.2 billion, and it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. 38 hotels, 6 museums, and a load of cultural attractions, which I cannot possibly tell you as eloquently as Edie would. Moving to the next slide, you will see that a lot of these projects are across all sectors, and I know all of you here today are from a range of different sectors. So all of these 14 projects are in sectors such as ICT, water, power, construction, transport, chemical, and you'll see a lot of the companies carrying out these projects are companies that are originally from different jurisdictions, including the US. If I move to the next slide and the next couple of slides talks about the NEOM project. I won't go into too much detail, but you see even alone at one site, we have a number of different mega projects going on. The Line, Sinzala, Oxagon, Trojena, which you've all heard about a little bit already, but these are all fantastic projects that are not going on anywhere else in the world to make Saudi a premium tourist destination. Trojena, as Edie rightly mentioned, you get skiing in Saudi, which you wouldn't necessarily expect in a country that a lot of people would think is actually entirely desert in the beginning, which it is. There's also Sindala, there's also Oxagon. Oxagon, for example, very unique, acted for a lot of clients in that area to do with shipping, ports, industrial logistics. If we go to the next slide, again, a little bit more of the technical information which you'll receive after this about all the different figures as to what the investment is going on in numbers to give you a little bit of comfort about your investment in the region. The Line, which is on the next slide, is an area that you've heard a lot about. Is actually an entire city built in actually a single line, so the description is quite correct. But again, a lot of different infrastructure projects going on across all the different sectors that a lot of you on this call are from. Moving to the next slide, a little bit more detail about Oxagon and what is going on there. In the next slide, you'll see Trojena. So you'll see in Trojena, you can have cruise liners, you can have skiing, you can have sand, or sun, sea, and sand, all of those in one actual location, 6 districts. And all of this has different investment going on, different projects going on, all with investors like yourself coming in, providing their expertise in order to help these projects come into fruition. If we go to the next slide, a little bit more facts and figures about Trojena, which you can read about after when you get these slides. The next slide is a little bit different away from NEOM. All the Red Sea projects that are going on. The Red Sea is a fantastic area. A little bit what we call here in Saudi, the Maldives of the Saudi. White sands, clear beaches, but fantastic experiences in terms of tourism and in terms of other fantastic hospitality areas. On the next slide, you'll see, we can move to the next slide. That is the Red Sea project I was talking about. If we move to the next slide again. Red Sea project phasing. So these are all the fantastic projects that are going on. So you'll see a lot of world-class branded hotels that are here that are helping develop the infrastructure that are here in terms of residents, in terms of building a luxury resort. And all of these are across different sectors where the government is really trying to show that actually this is going to be a premier destination in the future. If I then, in the last couple of minutes that I have, and I apologize for moving so quickly, but you will get these slides at the end, talk a little bit about the practicality of actually how does this investment in Saudi work. So if we move to the next slide, you've heard about all the fantastic projects, but how does this work on a practical basis? If you want to come to Saudi, how does it work in terms of your investment? There's really sort of 5 stages to investment in Saudi, and the ease of doing business in Saudi has never been as easy as it is now. The first stage is to issue an investment license for you. The second stage is to draft your documentation. And the third stage, which is actually you are here in Saudi, is issuing your commercial license or commercial registration. Once you get to stage 3, you are a fully fledged Saudi business and can start to do business in Saudi. You don't need a whole load of documents that you might think. You don't need to actually even have a lot of investment in the beginning to come. If you go to the next slide, you'll see the requirements for investment within Saudi across all the different sectors that you come from in terms of how to set up, etc. Very, very easy. You can set up by yourself. You can set up with a Saudi partner. What we do is work very closely with the Ministry of Investment. So Hissa on the call is from there, working across all of these sectors to decide your investment license, to decide what you need to do in order to set up in Saudi. If we move to the next slide, simple steps as to how to set up, which I will leave you to read after the call. But this is all you need to set up in Saudi. Very simple, very easy, and we've helped hundreds, if not thousands, of businesses set up in Saudi, especially those from the US. What are the advantages and disadvantages of setting up in Saudi? If we go to the next slide, you'll see that actually the setup in Saudi is very similar to other jurisdictions that you may be in terms of setting up, liability, how to set up an office, what you sort of need. Everything is actually pretty similar. It's not as foreign as you may expect or may think. And actually, even in the 14 years that I am in Saudi and the 10 years that I've been operating here, it's never been as easy as it is now to do business. If we move to the very last slide, feel free to screenshot this slide. Our details are on here. Happy to sort of answer any questions that you have towards the end of the call. We strongly encourage as many of you to come here as possible to learn a little bit more about the landscape, whether it's from the infrastructure perspective or any of the other sectors. And look forward to seeing you all here at the end of December. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Great information. I'll hand it over now to Warren that will provide us with more information about the trade mission happening in KSA in December. Warren, over to you. I cannot hear you. No. Maybe just being conscious of time. Kerry, if you're still on the call, do you want to give us more information? Go ahead, Warren. I think you're back.
How's that? Anything?
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, okay. Not sure what happened there.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah. Thank you, everybody. Hello. Good morning. Good afternoon. Good evening. My name is Warren Anderson. I am a trade specialist with the U.S. Commercial Service, As my colleague Carrie mentioned, we are the trade promotion arm of the U.S. Department of Commerce's International Trade Administration. We do have a global network that connects American exporters with foreign business opportunities. We do have offices of experienced trade professionals located throughout the U.S. in 100 offices, myself in St. Louis, Missouri, as well as our trade experts and colleagues in more than 80 countries at the U.S. embassies and consulates. So that being said, we are proud to announce and organize the Global Diversity Export Initiatives Trade Mission to Saudi Arabia for December 8th and 9th, 2024. The trade mission will focus on women-owned businesses, aim to foster economic ties and empower women entrepreneurs in both countries. The mission will offer woman-owned, led, and operated businesses important market insights and meetings with pre-screened foreign business partners and key decision makers. You've heard why Saudi. I would tell you the what that is included in the trade mission, as you could see there. B2B matchmaking meetings with pre-screened potential buyers, agents, distributors, joint venture partners, as well as key government decision makers. Will provide participants with substantial information on strategies for entering or expanding their businesses in the Saudi market, as well as key contacts, such as my colleague Carrie and other commercial officers at Post, as well as our excellent local staff of commercial specialists, as well as network opportunities that will build vital business relationships, so business receptions. I will mention we are finalizing a market discovery track to be available to companies as well. So we will keep those interested up to date once the information is finalized. And then, of course, we'll still be there at the end of the mission, there to help your efforts. So working with your local domestic trade specialist, as well as our overseas colleagues, we want to make sure I follow up on those leads, partnerships, and any potential deals that were initiated during the trip, as well as knowing that a continued engagement with Saudi counterparts is essential to nurturing the relationship established during the mission and maximizing the long-term impact. Costs, as you can see there, do vary from small and medium-sized enterprises up to large firms. We can help you decide the sizing and what the pricing would be, as well as the number of delegates that are being sent. I do want to mention that there are what's called State Trade Expansion Program, STEP, grant funds. Those are available as far as reimbursement grants to small businesses and are managed by individual state trade offices. So I can also provide that information. They do vary on availability. So I would definitely recommend contacting your local trade specialist to find out if there's some funds available for that, as well as sponsorship opportunities. I could provide that information as well as a follow-up and questions. I'll make sure and drop my email into the chat, as well as my colleague Gabriella, who is the director of our Global Diversity and Export Initiative Office, as well as the link to follow up with more information. So I wanted to keep it short, sweet, within the 5 minutes, and thank you everybody so much.
Thank you, Warren. Just a quick poll about if you would like to learn more about the upcoming trade mission to Saudi. I'll let you vote here. A lot of engagement. We're just going to leave it for a few seconds. Perfect. Great. So very quickly, I'm just going to round up with some practical examples of some of these best practices we have been talking about. I thought the easiest way is to show you some real life examples, but before that, we're going to go back to the source, the foundation of your business, which is understanding your Saudi buyer persona. So here, as you can see, we have the buyer persona and the journey. So we have L'Oreal USA and we have L'Oreal Mexico. L'Oreal USA, it's all women. They're all on the top floor. They're all very engaged, etc. L'Oreal Mexico, on the other hand, it looks a little bit more relaxed. They're working together, and there are two men in the image as well. And I find this one for Mexico very interesting, given Mexico cultural mosaic. Then we have L'Oreal Saudi. So where we don't see any individuals, instead we can see the city. Saudi websites can often prioritize showcasing infrastructures and development projects rather than individuals. This emphasis reflects the nation's focus on economic growth, technological advancement, and the urban development as well. Next slide, please. So here I have listed the 10 criteria that we use to determine a localized website. Note that language is just one criteria. Just as important is your domain name, the hosting, the regulatory environment. A lot goes into a localized website in order for search engines to find it relevant to your prospective customers so that you'll be found, be understood, and be easy to do business with. Next slide, please. So Saudi is an awesome place for online tools, especially if you get them right. So I'm not going to bore you with the stats, but I wanted to highlight just two. So one is 99% of the population are online, and nearly all of them are using social media. So basically, this means that your prospects are online and contactable via social media. The second one is that there are mobile phone connections. There are more mobile phone connections than people. So basically your contacts, your prospects are probably using the mobile phone to connect. So you need to make sure that your online tools are really well mobile enabled. Next slide, please. Next. So to answer the question of why exporters need online tools, especially for markets like the Middle East, is because your prospective clients are all online. So the first takeaway from today is that your Saudi prospects are online. And as an exporter, we recommend that you meet your clients where they are to your website and social media. Next slide, please. The second point is that it's really important to consider here is your website is your best sales rep. A curated showcase of your products and services operating 24/7 for you. So don't miss out on the opportunity to revamp and update your site well ahead of the event. This is crucial as any leads you'll be making should be able to find you easily, navigate your site and get a feel for your brand and products. Perfect. Thank you all so much for today. We're just going to do one last poll and then I'll jump into the Q&A session. Perfect. Thank you. So I do have a couple of questions. The most common one is about the slide deck. Don't worry, you will all receive the slide deck within 24 hours via email. I have one for Warren. It says, will this mission exclusively for women only owned business?
It is not exclusive. It is a target, but is not exclusive. So those companies that are not woman-led or owned will still be considered for the trade mission.
Okay, I have another one for you, Warren. It says, is there a limited amount of spots for the trade mission in December?
Yes, we are looking at a maximum of 30. So we have started registration or application in March. So we are in the middle of it, and we're looking a cutoff date sometime mid-September. So yes, we are currently in the process of vetting applicants.
Perfect. Someone asked, where is Warren's contact info? I think he dropped it in the chat. I'm going to drop it as well with his email, but you'll find it in the slide deck. Let me check. I have another question, and that's another one for you, Warren. I think that's the last one about the trade mission. How do we apply for the trade mission?
Yes, so there was a QR code on the slide deck that should go directly to the registration website, as well as I did drop it, I believe, in the chat as well, that goes directly to the registration. It'll provide more information on the trade mission as well as where you can apply for it.
Perfect, thank you. Eji, there's one for you. Someone asked earlier, what is the procedure to get the golden passport or how to get the multiple entry visa for business? Eji, can you hear me? All right, I'll come back to it later when she's back. I have a question for Syra. How is the KSA legal landscape for investment and infrastructure different from other jurisdictions for doing business?
Thanks, Geeta. I'll just, in case Edie doesn't come back, answer the question before as well
Yeah.
in terms of residency. So multiple exit re-entry visas are available. Generally, somebody within the kingdom can apply for you as a sponsorship, and you come in like that. And there are different agencies in Saudi we can put you in touch that can help you with that. A multiple exit re-entry visa is for if you are a resident in the kingdom, want to go out. Generally, if you want to come in, you can come in on a tourist visa. Very easy. You can do it at the airport, online. You can come in on a business visa, which allows you to come and go as you please for a year or up to 5 years. And you have a temporary working visa as well, which you can work full time for a year. The golden visa option is premium residency in Saudi, and you can get it pretty more easily than you could a couple of years ago. Lots of different options. If you go to the Invest Saudi website, you'll see the information on there. Lots of different categories. It means you can invest in Saudi through residence, invest in Saudi through your skills, research, academics, whatever the area may be, and get your residency that way as well. The other part of the question that was actually for me, which was legal landscape and infrastructure. Saudi, it has got easier and easier to invest in terms of legal landscape. It's similar to other parts of the Middle East, but has many differences as well. One of them, which is always seen as a hurdle, is sort of the Arabic and the English. But actually a lot has changed in there, and we can support on all. Another sort of question and link to that is, infrastructure. What do you need to come in? You need corporate support, you need commercial support, you need employment support. But really, the landscape is evolving and it's changing, and it's all to play for in terms of investment.
Hi, everybody. This is Edie Rodriguez. My apologies. I got cut off and I'm just able to dial back in now. So I'm sorry. I know where I got cut off was a question about what we call the golden visa, the golden passport. And I'm not sure if that was answered or addressed.
Sarah just answered it, but I have another
Thank you.
question for you, AG.
Please.
How is the Saudi government promoting and developing the tourism sector?
Oh my goodness, they are spending tons and tons and tons of budget money to do so. As an example, the Minister of Tourism himself goes around the world doing a phenomenal job promoting the country at the ministry level. Concurrent to that, Fahad, who is the CEO of the Saudi Tourism Authority, and his wonderful team go around the world. In fact, they're at Cannes Lion for advertising this week, speaking as a keynote. So they advertise in many, many places all over, and they have a huge investment to train travel agents, to educate people. If you go through many airports, you will see Visit Saudi. They just have a massive investment and marketing budget, and they are doing a phenomenal job. In fact, in 2023 calendar year, fiscal year, they had a goal of 100 million visitors to Saudi. They exceeded that goal. I believe the total was actually 106 million. So no good deed goes unpunished. So their new goal, 6 months into the year of 2024, is for this fiscal calendar year to have 150 million visitors to Saudi. And I'm very confident they will make that goal. So I hope I answered the question. Thank you for the questions.
Thank you, AG. Syra, I think I have another one for you. Someone in the chat asked, several years ago, I managed a distributor relationship in Saudi. At the time, there were complicated local laws around distributors that made it difficult to change ourselves from the relationship, from that relationship. Has the legal environment shifted along with the investment that the kingdom is making in the economy?
Thanks. In a very short, sharp answer, yes, and a hell of a lot. Part of the reason why we have sort of thought leadership within the firm is because there are new laws that are coming out to ease investment, to ease distribution across all the different sectors. And it's evolving and developing. and really based upon laws and best practices from the international perspective that a lot of the people on this call will be familiar with. It's got a lot easier. There's a lot of new laws, including the Civil Transactions Law, which is linked to distribution, that came in just last year, which makes it not only easy to invest, but build a sustainable business in Saudi. And we can sort of assist, and happy to talk about it offline. But yes, hell of a lot easier than before.
Thank you, Saira. I have one question for Hisa. Someone asked, can you share examples of successful ICT projects of initiatives in Saudi that highlight the sector's potential?
Yes, of course. Thank you for the question. If you could just search online the announcement that was announced on LEAP 2020-40, you will see these big companies where they announce their investments in the kingdom. You're talking about Microsoft, ServiceNow, AWS, and etc. Please give yourself a chance to read about the announcements. It is an infrastructure announcement, digital, AI, across all subsectors in the ICT sector.
Thank you, Hisa. Well, thank you, everyone. Just as a reminder, again, you will receive the slide deck within 24 hours by email. And we dropped in the chat all the emails of all the panelists, as well as Warren and Kerry's email about the trade missions. But thank you so much for your time. We truly appreciate it. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact us directly. Thank you.